The image in the binoculars showed a distant building. Wu Tian lowered the binoculars and gazed into the distance. His long legs stretched out and his attractive figure sat on the windowsill looking downcast. "Oh, that girl isn't home tonight either," he muttered. With a slight sense of regret, he sighed, "What a waste. I even bought the binoculars, but I haven't used them once." He looked toward the door far away, his eyes lighting up. Finally, he made up his mind to go there, twisting the doorknob. When he stepped inside, he couldn't believe his eyes. A beautiful young woman was sitting on a suitcase. "What are you doing here?" he asked, surprised. But she didn't answer. Instead, she turned her back to him, one hand holding the suitcase and the other walking calmly toward the bed. Only then did she respond to his question from earlier. "I've been assigned by my superiors. From now on, I'm to protect you 24/7. Upon hearing this, Wu Tian couldn't help but scoff. "Are you really going to stick to me like this? I just said that casually." She pushed the suitcase aside, hands on her hips, completely ignoring him. Wu Tian was at a loss for words. She looked at the beautiful bed, and with the cool weather, couldn't resist jumping onto it. Stretching out, she admired the view. While looking, she even commented, "This bed is really comfortable. I think I'll stay in this room from now on." Wu Tian stood behind with his arms crossed, but inside, his mind was screaming, "Not bad, it's smooth and bouncy. It would be even better if she wore a silk robe." His gaze was fixed on the curvy figure of the girl in front of him. Noticing something unusual, she turned to look at him with a sharp gaze. "Thug, what are you looking at? Even though you're supposed to be protecting me, it's just about catching thieves. Don't go getting any other ideas." Her words clearly showed how annoyed she was with his earlier behavior. Wu Tian covered his face with both hands, trying to make light of it. "Well, does that mean we have to do the same thing at night too?" The thought of that image made his heart flutter, and he couldn't help but smile. But the girl sitting on the bed immediately shut down his thoughts. "What did you just say? Try saying that again." Her fierce look scared him, so he quickly changed the subject. "Oh, all right, forget I said anything. But if thieves suddenly showed up, would you stick with me? What if you start liking me in the future?" After hearing what Wu Tian said, the girl froze for a few seconds. Then, pointing straight at him, she said, "With the way you look, if all the men in the world were gone, I wouldn't even care about you." Wu Tian grinned, secretly imagining that kind of scenario. He thought, maybe one day it'll be just her and me. But he quickly realized he couldn't let those thoughts show. He tried to stay calm and said, "You came at just the right time. I actually have something I want to discuss with you. I'm planning to start a company soon. Got any good suggestions?" Hearing his plan, the girl sat up on the bed, crossing her legs in a poised manner. "To people like you really want to start a company? Are you out of your mind? Do you even know anything about business? Do you have any numbers in your head?" A flood of questions came at him, making him feel a bit embarrassed and awkward as he tried to answer. "Don't hurt me, that's also why I came to talk to you," he said. The girl sat up straight, looking confused. She spoke, "Talk to me? Are you stupid? Why would you come to me to talk about this when your fiancé isn't around? Shouldn't you be talking to her instead of a cop like me?" At that moment, Wu Tian had a bold thought. He completely forgot about the other person in the room. Hearing her words, he suddenly realized, yeah, Chang Keek-sin might actually be really professional in this area. How could I be so dumb? Why would I come to you to talk about this? It's like asking a Munich to run a brothel. Totally pointless. She waved her hand, showing off her neatly manicured, slender fingers to Wu Tian, signaling, all right, I want to sleep, you should leave." Before he could respond, she lay down neatly on the bed and even pulled the blanket over herself. Wu Tian saw this and stepped closer to observe her. "Ha, I think there's enough space here. How about we share the bed tonight?" She didn't get angry at his suggestion. Instead, with a smile on her face, her eyes squinted as she replied, "If that's what you want, I wouldn't mind." However, she then pulled a gun from her body, clearly prepared. She was just waiting for the right moment to end him right there. The prerequisite is that you must have enough guts. Wu Tian never expected her to act so unusually, like someone out of the ordinary. She firmly clasped her hands together and said, "Sleeping while carrying a gun means you're a bad person. Excuse me, I'll leave now." The next morning, the sky was clear and warm at some tall, towering headquarters. Inside, Wu Tian was affectionately holding Chang Keek-sin in his broad arms, laughing and joking around. Chang Keek-sin, glowing with joy, sat in a chair, smiling foolishly. She didn't even notice when Xiao Man walked in. Not understanding what was happening, Xiao Man asked, "CEO, have you had some good news? You've been acting different lately." Chang Keek-sin quickly waved her hand to hide her expression, saying, "Don't think nonsense. I'm still the same as before. Nothing's changed." Xiao Man leaned her hands on the side and, hearing this, breathed a sigh of relief. "I can't quite explain it, but you're definitely..." After Wu Tian finished organizing everything, Chang Keek-sin finally noticed the person standing behind him. "Who is this?" she asked. Wu Tian answered clearly, "She's just a bottle of soy sauce, don't mind her." He walked over to the chair and sat down, casually adding, "So, here's the thing. I've been thinking about starting a company for some fun, but I don't really know much about it. I'd like to ask for your advice. It won't be a big investment, around 30 million yuan. Cheng Kik-sin was surprised when she heard this. "Did you earn that money yourself?" With the tone she used, Wu Tian was honestly speechless. What was he supposed to say? Was she implying he stole it? She quickly waved her hands, flustered, and said, "No, that's not what I meant." She glanced at the two of them, then decided to offer a solution to help him. With that amount, starting a small company is definitely doable. What kind of company are you thinking of? Looking at the person sitting across from her, she couldn't help but think to herself, he really does have a strong ability to make money. Is it true that doctors are in such high demand these days? On the other side, Wu Tian patiently explained his plan and thoughts for the next steps. "I'm thinking about the beauty industry. There's a lot of money to be made from women. If possible, I need your help finding a professional CEO. I'll be the boss." When Cheng Kik-sin heard this, her eyes lit up. She crossed her long legs and said, "I'll put together a detailed plan for you to review. You could also hire a CEO, and you could look over the plan later." With the careful help of Cheng Kik-sin, Wu Tian felt a weight lift off his shoulders. He quickly thanked her, but inside, his mind was filled with countless questions. Didn't this woman hate him so much? Why was she helping him now? He pushed himself up from the table and said, "You go ahead and work. I won't bother you anymore." Just as he stood up and was about to leave, Cheng Kik-sin suddenly grabbed his hand. She looked at him with eyes full of longing and said, "Are you leaving so soon?" Wu Tian's heart raced when he saw her hand holding his. He was panicked and thought, what does this mean? Her gaze, so deep and intense, made Cheng Kik-sin feel uneasy. She quickly let go of his hand and stood with her arms crossed in front of her. I didn't mean anything. I just wanted to ask when you could help me with adjusting my body. There's no other meaning behind it." Before she could finish, the door suddenly swung open. A well-dressed man in a suit walked in. "Sis, next week is my grandfather's birthday, and I want a toe." He stopped mid-sentence as he noticed someone was already in the room. Upon recognizing who it was, his expression turned furious, and he gritted his teeth. "Wu Tian, what are you doing here?" Wu Tian, seeming indifferent, turned his back and walked away, dismissing him with a casual tone. "What's it to you?" "Chang Xiao Mei, shall we go?" But the man grabbed him by the arm and warned, "Kid, let me give you some advice. Stay away from Cheng Kik-sin, and you better move out of the Tian-Sitten sub-district." Wu Tian, always arrogant, wasn't one to let anyone lecture him. "I'll stay wherever I want. What right do you have to tell me where to go?" The man frowned and responded coldly, "You'll regret it." He showed an exaggerated, surprised expression and said, "Really?" At this point, Wu Tian and his companion had already left the building. As they were walking away, he couldn't help but grumble. "I wonder if that guy is sick. Who does he think he is trying to control me?" Xiao Mei, walking beside him, reminded him, "But you can't provoke him like that. You can mess with others, sure, but how could you go up against Yang Hao? He's Yang Hao from the Yang family. There's no way the Yi family can compare to them." Hearing her, he pretended to be scared and shouted, "The Yang family? Are they really that impressive?" Xiao Mei angrily explained there are 4 ancient, prestigious families in Huaxia that have been around for hundreds of years. No matter their financial or human resources, they've always been a big deal. They are the Gongsun family, the Seitu family, the Nangong family, and the Ouyang family. And I'm not exaggerating when I say this. The Ouyang family controls a quarter of Huaxia. Wu Tian didn't seem too concerned. He continued walking leisurely and said, "So what? No matter how powerful they are, they're still just human." As they passed by a building that had been caught in a fire with people rushing in and out to save others, he remained calm and disconnected. He added, "They're not gods." At that moment, Wu Tian noticed something strange. He looked up the flames burning higher up and asked, "What's going on here?" After taking a closer look, his expression changed in shock and fear. "Isn't that the building I live in? Isn't that the roof of my building?" Seeing Wu Tian rushing forward, Xiao Mi quickly ran to stop him, asking, "What are you trying to do?" He charged toward the burning room, where firefighters were desperately trying to put out the flames. He stood outside, his heart in turmoil, asking what happened. Everything was fine. Why is it on fire? My bank card and checks are still inside. The girl next to him was just as worried, her voice trembling. What happened? Why is my house burning? She grabbed Wu Tian's shirt, angrily shouting, "This is the first house I ever bought. It holds so many memories for me." In a panic, Wu Tian grabbed her hand, urgently asking, "Do you think the bank cards and checks are fireproof? They won't be ruined, will they?" The girl was on the verge of tears, her eyes filled with sorrow. "What do you think?" Wu Tian, frustrated, brushed her hand off and rushed into the burning room, shouting, "What are you doing? Don't go in there." But he could listen to her. Determined, he ran straight in, hoping to retrieve his bank cards and checks. When he opened the box, he found that the checks had already burned halfway, the flames still flickering on them. Millions in checks. Not even one of them survived. Why is this happening? Condominiums like this are just money pits. One spark and everything's gone. He couldn't waste any more time. Turning quickly, he ran toward where his bank card was, thinking, at least the bank card can be replaced. The tens of millions inside are probably still there. The girl behind him looked at him in fear. "Hey, where do you think you're going? What about being in my house? If I'm renting you a room, you should compensate me." She cried and pointed toward Wu Tian. At that moment, he seemed to understand everything clearly. This fire was definitely caused by someone. Scene change. The group had now gathered downstairs where the fire had started. Everyone focus on your own tasks. Some are preparing supplies while others are taking statements about the fire in the building. Xiao Mi nervously asked him, "How is it?" Wu Tian, frustrated, pointed at the burning building. "The cards and checks are all burned up. You need to investigate the cause of the fire and find out everything for me." Xiao Mi nodded, saying, "I know, I'll go now." Wu Tian looked at the raging flames with many people panicking in the distance. Damn, this fire is still going strong. Across the street, Ouyang Hao was leaning on his car, smiling in satisfaction as his goal had been achieved. Wu Tian also noticed something unusual. Ouyang Hao. He pointed at him and said, "Don't let me find out you're involved in this." Guess what? Ouyang Hao challenged him, yeoman of soon enough. He kept his arms crossed, maintaining his stance. Seeing the conversation between the two men, the landlord's daughter quickly stepped forward to ask, "Do you suspect Ouyang Hao?" Wu Tian looked at her thoughtfully and asked, "What if I do? Do you have any proof?" Seeing how aggressive he was, she shrank back, replying quietly, "No." At that moment, Wu Tian truly felt helpless. His house had been burned down, and she was still in such a weak position. It seemed like her old man was also afraid of the Ouyang family. He looked at the girl and spoke seriously. "If you don't want your old man to get involved, it's best if you stop asking too many questions. It's for your own good." The scene shifts to the bank. At this moment, Wu Tian is confronting the bank clerk about the transaction with the number 9527. "How is this possible? You're telling me there's no money in my account. There's millions in there, and you're saying I have no money." From his words, you can imagine how furious he must look. His expression would be terrifying, almost impossible to describe. The bank clerk calmly explains, "I'm sorry, sir, but your account balance is very low." Wu Tian is shocked by this. What? In the end, he couldn't hold it together and collapsed, crying at the desk. More than 30 million yuan just vanished like that. After a long sigh, he finally decided to follow through his new plan. "If you want to play, I'll play along." "Ouyang Hao, let's go see." Meanwhile, in a high-rise building where professionals are busy with their work, Cheng Keek-sin looks concerned and asks, "What's wrong? What happened?" Wu Tian, out of breath, slumps into a chair and tells her the story. "My house burned down, my bank card and checks were destroyed, and I've run out of money." Surprised, she asks, showing genuine concern, "So, where are you planning to stay?" He gives a wry smile, looking defeated, sitting with his arms crossed. "For now, I'll have to stay at a bar. Can you lend me a few tens of thousands? I need some for a room." After hearing this, Cheng Keek-sin thinks to herself, a bit taken aback, before awkwardly suggesting, "Why don't you stay with me? I have a spare room." She quickly raises her hand to hide her reddened cheeks. Wu Tian pointed in the direction where she was standing, surprised, and said, "You're being too reckless. A man and a woman staying in the same house. What about your reputation?" Cheng Keek-sin was taken aback by his sudden concern. But before she could feel pleased, he continued speaking loudly. He stood up, raised his hand to the sky with a proud expression, and declared, "I, Wu Tian, am a man of integrity. I'd rather sleep on the street than let another woman be hurt." Cheng Keek-sin stepped closer to observe him and asked lightly, "If you're worried about what others might say, then pay for a room for me. How could you possibly sleep on the street?" It seemed like he had been waiting for her to say this. As soon as she spoke, he happily agreed. Seeing him so pleased with himself, Cheng Keek-sin couldn't help but think, "Why do I always feel like I'm being tricked? He's definitely scheming something." She puffed out her cheeks, placed her hand on his shoulder, and said seriously, "Look at you. You look like you just came out of a pile of trash. I'll take you shopping for clothes." As they walked out of the office, the tall and handsome man and the quick-witted, lively woman naturally drew the attention of those around them. When they reached the car parked in the lot, Wu Tian went to open the door, but Cheng Keek-sin grabbed his hand to stop him. "How about riding your bike instead? He stared at her, not quite believing his ears. Is something wrong with you? You're asking to ride a bike? I offered to take Wang Fansai out, and even she wouldn't dare ask for that. When he didn't respond, she playfully pointed at his 8-pack abs and whined, "What's wrong? You're not agreeing?" Wu Tian quickly waved his hand in a gesture of surrender. How would I know? As long as you're not worried about people laughing at you, I'm happy to serve you. He walked over, brought his bike closer, and sat on it, waving at Cheng Keek-sin. Come on, get on. You're the first person to ride my precious bike. At this moment, Cheng Keek-sin was already feeling quite happy. So I must be very honored, right? Once she was settled in place, Wu Tian started pedaling. Suddenly, he slammed on the brakes, making the person behind him jump. Out of instinct, she quickly wrapped her arms around Wu Tian's waist, but part of her body also pressed against his, which made his heart flutter. Thank you, God. Turns out, riding a bike comes with perks. If I known this earlier, I would have done it more often. Finally, the two of them sat comfortably on the bike and headed down the road. On the busy main street, cars were whizzing by, and in the distance, a shiny black car came rushing toward them. A familiar voice called out, "Little sister, where are you going? Why are you riding something like that? Did your own car break down?" The person stepping out of the car was none other than Yang Hao. Wu Tian, with the girl holding on to him, chuckled and replied, "She wanted to ride my bike. Did you show up on purpose?" Yang Hao grabbed the girl's arm, pulling it away from Wu Tian, and spoke with an authoritative tone. "Get in my car. Where are you going? I'll take you. This thing is unsafe." Cheng Keek-sin, not liking his attitude, quickly shook his hand off and politely said, "It's fine. I'm just a poor girl who's used to riding bikes. Senior, you should go do your own thing." Wu Tian walked in, smirking slyly. "Yang, can you move out of the way? By the way, if you ever want to find me, just go to Keek-sin's house. From now on, we'll be living together." Hearing his provocative tone, Yang Hao paused before responding, "What do you mean?" At this moment, Cheng Keek-sin had a chance to speak up. She pointed at Wu Tian's handsome face and said, "His house was burned down, and he didn't have money to stay in a hotel, so I'm letting him stay with me." It was just a simple sentence, but for Yang Hao, it was like a bolt of lightning. He couldn't believe it. How could this be? He quickly pulled out a check and said, "If you're short on money, I can lend you some. How much do you need?" But Wu Tian wasn't interested in him at all. He hurriedly helped Keef-sin walk away from where Yang Hao was standing. Seeing the commotion across the street, people around them became curious and started to watch, eager for the drama. They didn't walk very far before Wu Tian turned back, raised his hand in contempt, and said, "Do I know you? You didn't even think about who I am, and now you want to just lend me money." Meanwhile, the girl in the backseat couldn't take it anymore and urged, "Let's go." Finally, the two of them left Yang Hao standing there, dumbfounded. Yang Hao, furious, slammed his hand against the car next to him. His teeth were clenched as he punched with all of his might, showing just how angry he was. His face twisted in rage as he muttered, "Damn it, damn it." His words clearly expressed his frustration. The crowd that had been eavesdropping on their conversation started gossiping behind their backs. "Holy crap, what kind of car is that? And he's got a beautiful girl with him. Is this really what beautiful women are into now?" One person even took out their phone to film the scene. The young men also acted like, "One day bring out my grandfather's bicycle and let's give it a try." After riding for a while, Wu Tian let out a deep breath and said, "I'm sorry, I've used you." His eyes showed a hint of sadness. Thinking it through, using a woman to provoke a man wasn't a good idea. Cheng Keek-sin absent-mindedly responded, "It's good that you know. You can consider this as something you owe me." He ran his hand through his hair. Yang Hao and I have personal issues. Things like what happened with you don't really relate. He treats you very well, and it seems like you care about him too. Seeing that he was about to say something uncomfortable, Cheng Keek-sin quickly interrupted. "I just see him as an older brother." Now, she caught up to his train of thought. "Wait a minute, what personal issues?" Wu Tian answered sadly, "My house was burned down. I have a feeling he's behind it." Cheng Keek-sin didn't dare face him anymore. She turned her gaze toward the distance, softly saying, I think I roughly know what happened." The scene shifted to a high-end apartment complex on some red land. Suddenly, the door to the house opened and Cheng Keek-sin's figure swiftly entered. Seeing the surroundings, Wu Tian sized up the place and couldn't help but marvel. "Is this your place? You live here?" Cheng Keek-sin clasped her hands behind her back, a little embarrassed. "Not long ago, I left home and moved here. I didn't expect you to be my neighbor." Her eyes sparkled as she looked at him. Guess it's fate. Wu Tian leaned against the wall, trying to process the truth. No wonder Yang Hao had pressured me to move. This was the reason. He sneered inwardly, but his plans were completely ruined. Now, not only was I not going to be further away from her, but I actually had to live under the same roof with her. Cheng Kik-sin stepped forward, pulled out a key, and opened the door to invite him in. That's right, now you can't even pay for your own rent. By all means, it's like I'm supporting you. Xiao Yi, come on in. As they entered the house, Cheng Kik-sin seemed much more relaxed. She quickly kicked off her high heels and eagerly sat down on the soft bed. Ah, it's so hot outside, I almost couldn't breathe. Wu Tian couldn't help but notice the tempting sight in front of him. He couldn't control himself and even ended up with a nosebleed. He quickly tried to stop it, feeling embarrassed in front of her. Cheng Kik-sin casually brushed her chest and, with a teasing tone, asked, "What's wrong with you? I thought you do medicine. How come you're having a nosebleed?" At that moment, Wu Tian had already sat down beside her, but still replied stubbornly, "Why do you care?" Yet inside, he was screaming, "What's happening to me? Why does this always happen when I'm in situations like this?" Cheng Kik-sin sat up straight and asked, "So, what are your plans now? Any progress with starting your company?" Wu Tian also sat down next to her. "Let's put that aside for now. Right now, I need to figure out a way to make some money. I'm thinking of heading back to the fishing village for a bit." Hearing this, Cheng Kik-sin raised her hand in confusion and asked, "What's a fishing village?" Seeing she really didn't know, Wu Tian had to explain it to her clearly. "It was at that moment when I disappeared there. Actually, I was being chased by people, and by chance, I ended up in a fishing village where I woke up. I met Wan Er and her grandfather, and then her family was forced to deal with a debt problem." By now, Cheng Kik-sin understood everything clearly. "That's how it happened, so let's go together." Wu Tian was surprised by her suggestion. He turned to ask her, "What? The CEO of a company is going with me? What would you be doing?" "What about your company?" Cheng Kik-sin shrugged, saying it wasn't a big deal. "It's fine, the company is running smoothly now. Going for a while won't affect anything much. Think of it as a temporary business trip." Wu Tian was still hesitant, but before he could say anything more, she pressed her finger to his lips. She waved her hand dismissively, saying it wasn't a big deal and that she simply wanted to go. Her firm attitude made it clear that no one could refuse her decision. Her action of placing her hand on Wu Tian's lips made the atmosphere awkward. Both of them fell silent. Suddenly, Cheng Kik-sin realized that her action might have been a bit inappropriate. She quickly pulled her hand away, took a phone out of her purse, and said, "Haha, didn't you say you didn't have a phone? I bought one for you a few days ago." She handed him the phone along with a Siam card. "I've already taken care of the card for you. I'm going to sleep now. Feel free to pick any room and get some rest." With that, she stood up and left, leaving Wu Tian still holding the phone, looking confused. Wu Tian stared at the phone and thought to himself, "Hey bro, looks like your fiancé has a pretty good impression of me. What should I do?" Wu Tian opened his contact list and saw Cheng Kik-sin's number saved under the name Kik-sin. He hesitated for a moment, feeling a bit conflicted. In the bedroom, Cheng Kik-sin lay face down on the bed, her head buried in a pillow. Her thoughts were in turmoil. "Oh my god, what am I thinking? Could it be that I actually have feelings for him? This is bad, really bad. He's definitely going to tease me about this." The next morning at the breakfast table, everything was neatly prepared. Cheng Kik-sin had also left some money and a key. As Wu Tian AG thought, she even left the key and some money. How considerate. "It almost feels like she's looking out for me." He scrolled through his phone and sent a message to Cheng Kik-sin. At work, Cheng Kik-sin was deeply focused when her phone suddenly chimed twice. She glanced at the message from Wu Tian. "Thank you, Your Majesty, for the food and the kindness. The taste was great." Upon reading the message, Cheng Kik-sin couldn't help but smile, her heart fluttering. Sitting beside her, Xiao Man noticed her sudden happiness and curiously glanced over. After finishing breakfast, Wu Tian went to the hospital to check on Mr. Z. He carefully applied acupressure, observed by Zai Sai Qi and Wu Kun Sheng. Its concentration was unwavering. Once he finished, Zai Sai Qi anxiously stepped forward and asked, "How is my grandfather?" Wu Tian wiped the sweat from his forehead and replied, "The treatment is going well. We just need to complete one final step, and he should regain consciousness today." When Zai Sai Qi heard this, she was happy but also a little doubtful and asked again, "What did you say? He could wake up today?" Zai Sai Qi, standing beside her, asked again, "Then why isn't he awake yet?" Wu Tian, growing impatient with her question, said, "Are you stupid?" He handed her the bowl of medicine and added, "This is for your grandfather. Make sure you're not too gentle. You need to be a bit more forceful." Zai Sai Qi took the bowl and slowly moved to her grandfather's bedside to feed him the medicine. Wu Tian, standing nearby, reminded her, "I said, be a little more forceful." Zai Sai Qi, annoyed by his comments, snorted and turned away. Seeing her dismissive attitude, Wu Tian, irritated, snapped, You're so dumb. Didn't you hear me? Do you not want your grandfather to wake up? Zai Sai He, equally frustrated, raised her voice. If you want to get back at me for being rude before, then just do it to me. Why are you trying to make me force my grandfather? He's sick like this and you want me to be rough with him. Are you even human? Wu Tian, disgusted, grabbed the bowl of medicine from her and said, get out of the way. Someone like you can never amount to anything. I try to teach you something, but you don't listen. You don't do anything right even when you should be gentle. Stupid. Zai Sai Ki, gritting her teeth in anger, said, you. The two people watching from behind couldn't hold back and started talking, unable to ignore the tension. Mr. Wu, what's going on here? Is this some special treatment? Wu Kunsheng, equally confused, replied, I don't know either. Meanwhile, Wu Tian used one hand to help Dialao sit up and then directly fed him the entire bowl of medicine. Zai Sai Ki was startled and shouted, damn it, stop right now. Angrily, she grabbed Wu Tian's arm and said, I told you to stop. Are you even listening? Her father, who was standing behind her, couldn't hold back and was about to step forward, saying, this is too much. Wu Kunsheng placed a hand on his shoulder and explained, this kid's personality might be a bit off, but he's definitely not the type to cause trouble for no reason. Wu Tian, also furious at Zai Sai Ki's attitude, turned to her, gritted his teeth, and said, touch me one more time and I'll make sure your grandfather never wakes up. Hearing Wu Tian's threat, Zai Sai Ki spun around and shouted at her father, are you just going to stand there and watch? Her father, however, remained calm and said, don't cause a scene. Wu Tian, ignoring them, continued pouring the medicine into Mr. Z's mouth roughly. Once he finished, he tossed the bowl aside and dropped Mr. Zai back down. Zai Sai Ki, now completely furious, could no longer control herself. She pulled out a gun, pointed it straight at Wu Tian, and yelled, you bastard, you're asking for death. Her father quickly rushed over to stop her, shouting, stop, but it was too late. Zai Sai Ki pulled the trigger, and a bullet shot out, sending a cloud of smoke into the air. Wu Tian's arm, which had just thrown the bowl, was hit. Blood quickly started to pour from the wound, dripping down his palm. Wu Tian, burning with anger from the attack, scowled and called out, Zai Sai Ki. At that moment, Zai Sai Ki's father stepped forward, angrily snatched the gun from her hand, and threw it aside. He shouted, how stupid. If he really hurt your grandfather, would the fee be so high? Wu Kunsheng saw the wound bleeding heavily and quickly grabbed the first aid kit, urgently saying, hurry up, I'll perform surgery on your arm. Wu Tian ignored him, calmly took off his shirt and said, no need, I'll handle it myself. Just get me a pair of forceps and some spare cloth. Wu Kunsheng quickly handed him what he asked for, thinking to himself, could he really be planning to remove the bullet himself? Wu Tian calmly took the forceps and began extracting the bullet himself. Zai Sai, his father, watched his skilled movements and silently praised him, thinking this kid's technique is extraordinary. He didn't even flinch during the whole process, not even a furrowed brow. He's really something. Wu Tian sensed the concerned look from him, then pulled out a small white packet from his pants pocket and sprinkled the powder on the wound, all while being watched closely by the two men. Once the powder was applied, the wound quickly started to close up. Wu Tian wiped away the remaining blood. The two men stared in shock. Holy shit, the healing speed. What the hell just happened? In an instant, the wound is completely healed and there's no more bleeding. Zai Sai Ki's father, still in disbelief, asked, like divine doctor, what kind of medicine is that? Wu Tian didn't answer, just muttered a few words. Wu Kunsheng thought to himself, the recovery speed is so terrifying. If this kind of medicine were to be widely used in a military zone on the soldiers, the consequences would be unimaginable. Wu Tian quickly bandaged his wound and said, sorry, I can't say anything. He glanced at Zai Sai Ki behind him and then spoke again. Thanks to Mr. Wu for helping me out, but from now on, you better disappear whenever you're around me. He said this while putting his shirt back on. After that, Wu Tian went to Mr. Z's bed and said, from today, my family and the Zai family will have no further connections. With that, he clenched his fist and punched Mr. Z in the stomach. Mr. Z, who had been unconscious, suddenly opened his eyes and spit out all the medicine in his mouth. Zai Sai Ki and her father looked on in shock, wide-eyed. As soon as Mr. Z woke up, he started coughing violently. The two of them quickly rushed to him, relieved, and helped him sit up. Grandpa, Dad, Zai Sai Ki cried out, tears of joy streaming down her face. Grandpa, you've finally woken up. Mr. Zai comforted his granddaughter, saying, all right, stop crying. Isn't Grandpa fine now? He sat up and then asked, Kunsheng, you're here too. Where's the kid who just hit me? Wu Kunsheng could only tell the truth to Mr. Z. He left. Wu Kunsheng quickly realized and clapped his hands with excitement. Wait, I remember now. He was the one who just punched you. Zai Saik, his father, was still confused, not fully understanding what had just happened. Wu Kunsheng was pleased with his discovery and happily recalled how, for a moment, he couldn't quite remember. I've heard about this technique a few years ago, he said. Wu Tian, whether it was the rough way he poured the medicine or punched Mr. Z, was trying to stimulate Mr. Z's body functions. After being unconscious for so long, Mr. Z's nervous system was in no condition to handle normal stimuli. Mr. Z, sitting up in bed, was aware of everything. I owe my full recovery to him, he thought. Our family, the Zai family, is in his debt. I could hear everything you were saying earlier. I just couldn't open my eyes. He turned to Zai Sai Qi, who was standing there feeling upset, and gently said, Granddaughter, find a chance to apologize to him sometime. Zai Sai Qi stayed silent for a moment, clearly frustrated, and then replied, I really don't understand why Dad and Grandpa are protecting him so much. No matter what, he's just a doctor, and we paid him. What's the deal? Hearing this, her father, standing nearby, spoke up. What do you think is most important? Power? Money? But once you get those things, you'll realize that your health means more than all of that. Being able to become friends with someone who has such medical skills is extremely rare. Not to mention his level of expertise might even surpass that of regular doctors. After finishing the treatment, Wu Tian got on his bicycle and rode off. As he pedaled, he felt frustrated. The payment from the Zai family for his services had already been completely used up. Working for free was one thing, but getting criticized on top of that, he was getting angrier the more he thought about it. He shouted out in frustration, This is so annoying. When his bike reached the front of his house, he saw a girl waiting for him. As soon as Wu Tian stopped, she angrily shouted, What the hell will you die if you just buy a cell phone? Wu Tian looked at the girl with some surprise at first, then quickly recognized her as Chang Xiao Mei. He said, Oh, isn't this Captain Chang? He then smiled warmly and continued, It must have been tough for you to track me down here at the entrance of the neighborhood. Chang Xiao Mei, seeing him so cheerful, cut him off, saying, Stop pretending. She stepped forward, pinched Wu Tian's nose, and added, Where exactly are you right now? I told you I'd make sure to protect you. But what if you get into danger? What will you do then? At that moment, Wu Tian's phone rang. He said, Sorry, I need to take this call. The screen showed it was a call from his fiancée. Wu Tian thought to himself, I'm almost home. Whatever it is, we could talk about it there. With that, he declined the call. Chang Xiaomei, seeing his phone, got angry and pointed straight at him. You jerk. I've been squatting here looking for you and my legs are about to break. You actually have a phone this whole time. Keep it your number. As she said this, she reached for his phone, but Wu Tian quickly held it out of her reach. What are you doing? Trying to flirt with me? At least show me some kind of interest first. Not everyone gets the privilege to flirt with me, you know. After a pause, Wu Tian finally handed her the phone. All right, let me give it to you. Chang Xiaomei took the phone from him and said, Getting my number is a privilege for you. Others would want it, but I wouldn't give it to them. At that moment, a luxury car pulled up next to Wu Tian's bike. The person who got out was Lu Fu's father. He looked a bit tired, but upon seeing Wu Tian, said, Wu Tian, we need to talk about what happened with my son getting hurt. Wu Tian leaned his hand on the car's neck and smiled before replying, If you want treatment, go to a hospital and see a doctor. Why come to me? Not to mention we're enemies. What's there to talk about? He wasn't angry, but his tone remained calm, almost like he was negotiating. I've been to all the hospitals, and they couldn't do anything. I've heard about your medical skills. How much do you want? Just name your price. Wu Tian, growing impatient, responded, Sorry, but I have limits too. If I don't like someone, I won't help them. So you can leave now and go back to where you came from. The man, seeing this, raised a finger and offered a price of 100,000 yuan. Hearing the amount, Wu Tian turned around, raised 2 fingers, and countered with 120 million. Wu Tian waved cheerfully as he bid farewell to Lu Fu's father, saying, Thanks for your trouble, Boss Lu. Don't forget to bring the money soon. Seeing how easily he agreed to work for money, Chang Xiaomei, who was standing next to him, scoffed, What exactly is your limit? Wu Tian replied calmly, Lu Fu has already paid a heavy price for his actions. I don't need to chase him to the ends of the earth. How much longer are you planning to stick around me? What's the status on the fire investigation? Chang Xiaomei, a bit embarrassed, said, So far, you've only found that the fire was caused by an electrical short circuit. As for anything else. Hearing that, Wu Tian got frustrated and snapped, Damn it, it took this long, and all you found was this? What kind of police work are you doing? Chang Xiaomei fell silent, not knowing how to respond to his anger. Wu Tian continued, With this kind of investigation, how can I rely on you to protect me? Get moving and investigate properly. Without standing still to listen to him any longer, Chang Xiaomei huffed, "Fine, I'll go. As if I actually want to protect you." Ha. Seeing her figure running away, Wu Tian muttered to himself, "Ha. So I've figured out that Yang Hao is the leader, but even with that, there's no way to catch him." When he arrived at Chen Kixin's house, he opened the door and immediately saw 4 pairs of shoes neatly lined up. "I'm home," he said. As soon as he stepped into the living room, Wu Tian saw Chen Kixin's family sitting together on the couch. He greeted them. "Uncle, Aunt, you all are here." Thinking about the phone call earlier, Wu Tian guessed that Chen Kixin must have called to talk about this. When Chen Kixin saw his bandaged arm, she immediately rushed over, took his arm gently, and asked with concern, "What happened? Are you okay?" Wu Tian didn't want to go into all the details right there, so he just replied, "It's nothing serious, just a minor skin injury." Seeing how little Wu Tian seemed to care for his own well-being, Chen Kixin got upset. "Minor? You're bleeding this much, and you're calling it nothing serious?" Chen Kixin's parents exchanged a look filled with suspicion when they saw how she was acting, then whispered to each other, "Is our daughter concerned about Wu Tian? Could it be that she likes him?" Yang Hao, sitting next to them, shot a hateful glance at Chen Kixin and Wu Tian. Chen Kixin's father spoke up, addressing Wu Tian. "Xiao Yi, didn't you and my daughter break off your engagement?" Wu Tian answered directly, "Uncle Cheng, I know what you're getting at. Don't worry, I'm just staying here temporarily. My house was burned down, and for now, I don't have anywhere else to go." Yang Hao chimed in, putting on a false smile. "Your house was burned down? I could help you rent a place, or you could stay in a hotel. How is it that you, from the Yi family, can't even afford something like that?" Wu Tian crossed his arms and faced Yang Hao, saying, "That's right. I really can't even stay in a hotel right now. Young Master Yang, you're truly a wicked person." Yang Hao didn't mind his sarcastic tone and smugly replied, "So what? At least there's a good outcome." Wu Tian wasn't one to back down. He quickly responded, "The rumors about the Yang family being so powerful. I think it's all just talk." Hearing this, Yang Hao grew angry and said, "You." Just then, Chen Kixin's father spoke up, cutting off their argument. "Xiao Yi, if you and my daughter don't have any kind of relationship anymore, I don't agree with you staying here. You need to move out today. I can lend you some money to help you rent a room." Wu Tian thought for a moment and then agreed, saying, "All right." Chen Kixin, seeing Wu Tian agree so easily, loudly said, "I don't agree." She turned to her parents and added, "Mom, this is a personal matter for me. Please don't get involved." Her mother refused, saying, "What do you mean personal? Look at the situation. You're staying with a man like this. What will people think if they find out?" Yang Hao jumped in, saying, "Sis, you should really listen to Auntie." Chen Kixin firmly responded, "Senior, this is my family's business. Please don't interfere." She gently pulled Wu Tian's hand and said resolutely, "No matter what, I'm going to take him in. This is my decision." Seeing her determination, Wu Tian felt incredibly happy. Meanwhile, Chen Kixin's parents were shocked by their daughter's actions. Yang Hao, on the other hand, looked at the two of them with even more disgust. Wu Tian, caught in the middle, didn't know what to say. Chen Kixin's mother decided to ask directly, "Kixin, be honest with me. Do you like Wu Tian?" Caught off guard by the blunt question, Chen Kixin awkwardly stammered, I'm not sure. Maybe a little, but I can definitely say that at least I don't hate him." Standing in front of her parents, Chen Kixin confirmed again, I'm not sure. Maybe a little, but I can definitely say that at least I don't hate him." Her mother stood up in anger and pointed at Wu Tian, saying, "Don't you know what kind of person he is? Do you know how many women he's been with behind your back?" Then she turned and pointed at Yang Hao, who was sitting nearby, and added, "Have you forgotten all of that? Xiao Hao is much better than him." Hearing this, Yang Hao thought to himself, "This is my chance." He stepped forward, took Chen Kixin's hand, and sincerely declared, "Little sister, I truly care about you." Chen Kixin, feeling awkward, quickly pulled her hand away and lowered her head in apology, saying, "Senior, I'm really sorry. I have great respect for you and have always seen you as an older brother." Upon hearing her words, Yang Hao's face darkened and his expression turned grim. Even her parents felt awkward and didn't know what to say next. Chen Kixin, ignoring Yang Hao, grabbed Wu Tian's sleeve and said, "Let's go. I'll help you change your bandages." Wu Tian sighed, allowing her to pull him along, only letting out a soft ah. Inside Chen Kixin's room, she gently removed the old bandages from Wu Tian's arm. At that moment, Wu Tian spoke up, "Actually, you didn't have to go through all this with your parents because of me." Chang Kik-sin didn't want him to worry about it, so she joked, "Ha, a little lamb daring to meddle in my business. If you're being raised by me, then just quietly let you take care of you." Seeing her joke like that, Wu Tian smiled and played along. "As you command, my queen." On the second day at Tian-Sin Company, the employees were busy working. Chang Kik-sin and Xiao Man were in the office, focused on handling their tasks. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. Chang Kik-sin calmly said, "Xiao Man, open the door." As Xiao Man opened the door, Yi Dong-swan stormed in, angrily saying, "Miss Chang, what do you mean by this? Have you forgotten the terms of the contract?" Chang Kik-sin responded calmly, "Miss Yi, I haven't violated the contract. I don't quite understand what you mean." Yi Dong-swan replied, "I clearly told you that once we start our partnership, you cannot be in close contact with Wu Tian." Yi Dong-swan sat down across from Chang Kik-sin, crossing her legs, and continued, "Now you're living under the same roof with him. What else is there to discuss?" Chang Kik-sin remained composed and responded, "Miss Yi, I've been very curious about something. Why are you so concerned with my personal life? Wu Tian is no longer living with your family. Why do you keep attacking him? Don't you think that's a bit too much?" Yi Dong-swan didn't answer her question, but instead said, "Too much. With your small company, you think you can secure a contract worth over 100 million. I want Wu Tian to move out immediately, or I'll cancel the contract." Chang Kik-sin firmly replied, "I don't like anyone interfering with my private life. No one has the right to do that." Yi Dong-swan was so angry when she heard this that she slammed the table, stood up, and said, "With just you, the company can't even survive. You'd better not regret this." Chang Kik-sin remained calm as she replied, "Regret? Why would I regret? Don't even talk about your company's orders. Even if the entire company goes under, I won't regret it." Chang Kik-sin's words only fueled Yi Dong-swan's rage. She shouted, "Chang Kik-sin, let me tell you something. The Yi family can help you stay afloat, but we can also destroy you. You think you can protect that bastard with just yourself?" Hearing those offensive words, Chang Kik-sin quietly closed her laptop and with a sharp look said, "Whether you admit it or not, Wu Tian is still part of the Yi family." She stared directly at Yi Dong-swan and asked, "If he's a bastard, then what does that make you?" Yi Dong-swan didn't expect her to say that. She angrily pointed at her and yelled, "You little brat, how dare you insult me? You'll regret this, I swear." Chang Kik-sin was disgusted by Yi Dong-swan's threats. She turned to Xiao Man and said, "Xiao Man, show our guest out." 4 hours after the argument between Chang Kik-sin and Yi Dong-swan, the staff at Tian-Sin Company were working when they suddenly started receiving a series of calls canceling partnerships from clients. "Hello, good afternoon. What? You want to end the partnership?" "Mr. Wang, hold on. You want to cancel the contract, but the contract is clearly for 3 years. Why would you suddenly want to end it? This order is worth 3 million. Mr. Lai, could you reconsider?" The entire company was thrown into chaos as contracts were suddenly being canceled. Xiao Man quickly rushed into Chang Kik-sin's office, anxiously updating her on the situation. "CEO, this situation is extremely bad for us," Xiao Man said worriedly. "These suppliers somehow found out about the Yi family breaking the contract, and now everyone wants to pull out." Yi Dong-swan struck back quickly. That afternoon, the Yi Family Corporation announced that it was temporarily suspending its partnership with Tian-Sin, citing the company's failure to comply with the contract. Even though Chang Kik-sin had mentally prepared herself, it still left her feeling drained and frustrated. The loss from ending the partnership with Tian-Sin was hard to calculate at this point, but she estimated it would be at least 20 million or more. When the employees at the company heard the news, everyone was immediately shocked. If things kept going this way, not only would the year-end bonuses be at risk, but layoffs and possible unemployment seemed likely. At this moment, Xiao Man spoke up, "CEO, this situation is really bad for us. The suppliers have somehow gotten wind of the news and are calling to ask." Kik-sin replied, "Let's try to reassure the customers. We will do our best." Xiao Man fell silent after hearing that. Kik-sin then said, "Xiao Man, you don't need to say anything else. Just follow me and let's get to work." Suddenly, Kik-sin's phone buzzed. It was a call from Yi Dong-swan. She glanced at it, then picked up the phone. After a moment of hesitation, she answered. Dong-swan's voice came through from the other end. "Miss Cheng, I wonder if you've had time to think about things." Kik-sin replied, "I don't need to think about it. My decision hasn't changed." On the other end, Dong-swan's voice raised in anger. "Aren't you scared yet?" Without responding, Kik-sin quickly hung up the phone. At that moment, Yi Dong-swan was extremely angry sitting in the Yi family's villa. Young Master Yi spoke up, "Third sister, do you really think she will back down?" Dong-swan burst into laughter and said, "Back down. Only if she doesn't need the company." At that point, Mr. Yi fell silent. The eldest brother spoke up, "Little sister, you need to be careful. Don't go too far. If Yang Hao gets upset, you could lose more than we gain." Dong Suan turned to reply, "Eldest brother, you're right. Don't worry, I know where to draw the line. I'm just scaring her a little." Hang Dong spoke up, "Aren't you tired of doing this?" Dong Suan, surprised, asked, "Tired? Why do you say that?" Hang Dong answered, "You all must know they can never come back to the Yi family. So why push them even further? Don't you fear karma?" Dong Suan raised her voice, saying, "Second brother, what's wrong with you? Do you think I'm doing all of this for nothing? Isn't it for the sake of our family?" Hang Dong retorted, "You're doing this for yourself, aren't you? Hoping to get close to Yang Hao. But even if you manage to get close to him, what's in it for you? If Chang Kik-sin ends up with Yang Hao, what do you think you'll gain?" Dong Suan frowned and said, "Relying on Yang Hao, you should be incredibly grateful. Don't forget, he's from a prestigious family. Do you really think he owes you any special favors?" Hang Dong replied, "If he doesn't owe you anything, then what do you expect from Yang Hao?" At that moment, the eldest brother pointed at Hang Dong and said, "What do you mean by that, little brother? Are you saying we don't value family connections?" Hang Dong stood up to leave, saying, "I have some things to take care of. You all go ahead." Just then, Mr. Yi called out sharply, "Stop right there." Hang Dong, "Do you still respect me at all?" Hang Dong turned and said, "Dad, do you think I'm not obedient enough? Whatever you want me to do, I'll do it. You told me not to help them, and I haven't. What more do you want me to do?" Mr. Yi immediately got angry and shouted, "What nonsense!" Fang Xiao quickly placed a hand on his shoulder from behind and said, "Grandfather, please calm down. Getting upset isn't good for you." At that moment, the butler bowed to Hang Dong and said, "Young master, Miss Chang Kik-sin is here to see you." The three of them, Dong Suan, Yi Shao, and the eldest brother, exchanged knowing looks, all thinking the same thing. Chang Kik-sin, looks like she finally couldn't take it anymore. Yi Shao turned to Dong Suan and said, "Third sister, you really are something." At that point, Chang Kik-sin, following the butler, entered the room. She called out to Hang Dong, "Uncle Ye." At that moment, he smiled and asked, "Kik-sin, did you come to see me for something?" She replied, "Uncle Ye, I have something to discuss with you today." Just then, Dong Suan walked over and said, "Miss Chang, the situation with your company is something you need to talk to me about. My brother can't be involved in company matters." Hang Dong, hearing this, was a little dissatisfied. Kik-sin smiled and said, "No need, this is something that has to be discussed with Uncle Yi." She then turned to Hang Dong and said, "Uncle Yi, please take a look at these." He asked, "What is this?" Kik-sin handed Hang Dong a large envelope and said, "Just open it, and you'll know." Dong Suan, who had been ignored earlier, quickly asked, "Did you come to see me?" At that point, Kik-sin turned away, annoyed by her attitude, while Deep Tuck opened the envelope and started reading the papers inside. Suddenly, his eyes widened and he exclaimed loudly, "Kik-sin, what is this?" Kik-sin calmly replied, "I came here today simply to return these things to you. Miss Yi and I talked, and I acknowledge that Tai and Sin Company exists because of the Yi family. That much I don't deny. Originally, that money was indeed given to me by Uncle Yi, so today I'm returning the company to you. I have already transferred ownership to Uncle Yi." At this, Mr. Yi and young Master Yi were both stunned. Kik-sin turned to Hang Dong and said, "Uncle Yi just needs to sign at the top, and it will be done." He asked, surprised, "Why do you need to do this?" Here's the translation. Kik-sin responded, "What doesn't belong to me, no matter how hard I try, will never be mine." Hang Dong said, "But that's the company you built from the ground up." Kik-sin replied, "That's not really mine either." She then added, "You, the Yi family, are powerful, but that doesn't mean everyone will want to flatter you." At that moment, the entire Yi family fell silent, especially Dong Suan, who felt slapped in the face. This was clearly a slap in the face to the Yi family. Yet Dong Suan thought Kik-sin should have been the one begging her. Kik-sin threw the car keys on the table and said, "These cars belong to Wu Tian. He told me to return all three of them to you." Dong Suan grabbed the keys and, irritated, said loudly, "Did he send you here?" Kik-sin crossed her arms and replied, "The cars were his request, but the decision about the company is mine." Uncle Yi then held up a piece of paper and said, "I don't agree. The company is something you work hard to get, but I don't want it." Kik-sin answered, "But from beginning to end, the Yi family's influence is all over it." Uncle Yi, "I don't want that either." Young Master Yi muttered under his breath, pretending to be so noble, bullshit. Hearing this, Kik-sin placed her hand on her chest and said confidently, "In front of young Master Yi, I don't dare pretend to be noble. I'm just trying to be myself completely honest." Hang Gong handed some documents to Dong Xuan and scolded C. They clearly don't care about our wealth. Dong Xuan, feeling down, sighed. Young Master Yi approached Hang Dong and said, Uncle, you can't cut them off completely like that. They could very well be stepping back in order to move forward. At that moment, the older brother spoke up. Why are you still speaking up for him? Isn't Cheng Kik-sin supposed to hate him? Mr. Yi sat silently, deep in thought. He wondered to himself, is this the right thing to do? Do young people really not care about money from their mothers? At the company, many employees were feeling regretful. Kik-sin glanced back at a small picture of Tien-sin's company before leaving. Seeing this, Xiao Man asked, CEO, do you really want to leave? Kik-sin turned and smiled, saying, Xiao Man, every party has to end eventually. You stay here and work, there's no problem with that. Xiao Man, looking down, said, but I want to work with you. Kik-sin smiled and replied, but now I'm about to be unemployed too. If you follow me, there won't be anything for you to do. I don't even know where my own future is headed. Then Kik-sin raised her finger and said, don't worry, if I need help in the future, I'll come to you. Xiao Man's eyes lit up and she said, it's a promise, you can't fool me. After packing up her things, Kik-sin got into a taxi. Before she entered, she turned and waved one last time. Xiao Man waved goodbye as well. When Kik-sin turned away, tears rolled down her cheeks. The next day at Tien-sin Residential Complex, she placed the box on the table, then leaned her hands on it and said to Wu Tian, starting from now, I'm unemployed. Kik-sin sighed and complained, I've handed the Tien-sin company back to the Yi family. From now on, I have nothing to do with it. When Wu Tian saw how tired she looked, he gently pressed his hand against Kik-sin's forehead to check her temperature and asked, are you okay? At that moment, Kik-sin felt embarrassed. Blushing, she scolded, you're the one who's not normal. Wu Tian, thinking she was serious, asked, are you really telling the truth? Kik-sin replied, exactly. He then asked, why? You really aren't normal. A normal person wouldn't do this. The company originally belonged to you, but you gave it away. Kik-sin said, no matter how hard I tried, the Yi family's presence was always there in the company from beginning to end. Wu Tian pressed on, so, what does that matter? Kik-sin, now visibly uncomfortable, crossed her arms and said, let's not talk about that. It's all in the past now. I've returned it to them, so I have nothing to do with it anymore. Wu Tian, surprised, said, Your Majesty, if you don't have money, how could you possibly support me? Kik-sin responded, then you can support me. Wu Tian quickly shot back with a warm smile, no way. I was just having a lot of fun. You have to keep supporting me. This made Kik-sin feel a little uncomfortable, but she decided to let it go. The next day, downstairs at Kik-sin's place, Your Majesty, is that all you have to say? Wu Tian rode his bike to where Kik-sin was waiting. She replied, there's nothing else to say. Then Kik-sin got on his bike. She turned and wrapped her arms around Wu Tian's waist. Smiling, she said, let's go. At that moment, her chest pressed against Wu Tian's back, unintentionally giving him a surge of energy. He responded, yes, Your Majesty. On the quiet street, Wu Tian pedaled as he carried Cheng Kik-sin on his trusty bike. The scene was peaceful. He sat in front with her tightly holding him from behind. When they reached the Tien-sin sub-district, Wu Tian, likely tired, said to Miss Cheng, Your Majesty, see how hard I'm working. Could I get a little more pay? Cheng Kik-sin replied cheerfully, sure, starting today, you'll get an extra $1 every month. Hearing this, Wu Tian brightened up and shouted loudly, thank you for your generosity, Your Majesty. The two of them rode past the security checkpoint, unaware that the two guards having lunch turned their heads to look. The guards were so stunned they couldn't even speak, wondering if they were witnessing some kind of miracle. Could a guy riding such a clumsy old bike really have a beauty like this? Maybe this kid's from a wealthy family, just pretending right. Otherwise, how could a beautiful woman willingly sit on his bike? They guessed that at most she sometimes rode a brand new bike, definitely not this old one. The two guards exchanged looks, filled with a mix of curiosity and a little envy, as they watched Wu Tian ride away. They were so tired from walking, so the two of them decided to walk their bikes instead. They were happily strolling along when, out of nowhere, Zai Sai Ki appeared and blocked their path, not letting them pass. Standing in front of them, Zai Sai Ki said, Wu Tian, I need to talk to you. Wu Tian growled, Zai Sai Ki, move aside. The two of them didn't bother to stop and try to walk past. Cheng, curious, asked Wu Tian, who is that girl? Wu Tian's face darkened as he replied, a crazy person. Feeling embarrassed and insulted, Zai Sai Ki clenched her lips and held back. Not giving up, she stood directly in front of Wu Tian, raised her hand to stop him, and said, I came here today to apologize to you, but you're not willing to accept it. I'm not important enough to be part of the Zai family. Wu Tian waved his hand dismissively, his face scrunched up in disgust. Still, Zai Sai persisted, saying, I'm apologizing. What more do you want? She clenched her fist and muttered to herself, I've never seen a man like this. So petty and shameless. He's really bringing shame to all men. Frustrated, she snapped, Yi, what do you want from me? Sticking his tongue out, Wu Tian responded, Get lost. He pointed at Zai Sai and, clearly irritated, asked, Are you done talking? With that, he stepped aside, adding, A smart dog doesn't block the road. Zai Sai was furious, almost ready to burst, but she still managed to bite her lip and hold back her anger. With a harsh tone, she said, What do you want from me to forgive me? Is it really that important? Is it worth going this far? What's your goal, huh? Wu Tian asked. Zai Sai stubbornly repeated, What do you want from me to forgive me? Wu Tian arrogantly raised his middle finger and said to her, Crazy woman, listen carefully. No matter what happens, I don't want anything to do with your Zai family. Let me make it clear, nothing. Furious, Zai Sai angrily shouted at Wu Tian, You pervert. Are you even man? How can you be so small-minded? Who says men have to be forgiving? Wu Tian responded with a mocking laugh. Cheng Kik-sin, standing to the side, had no choice but to intervene. You have to forgive me today, or I'm not leaving, Zai Sai said arrogantly, blocking Wu Tian's path with her legs. Helpless, Wu Tian waved his hand and said, Fine, I forgive you. Now go. Without any manners, Zai Sai grabbed Wu Tian's hand and said, Let's go. My grandfather wants to meet you. Feeling disrespected, Wu Tian pulled his hand away and shouted, Let go of me, don't pull on me. I have no respect for people like you. Without hesitation, Zai Sai slapped Wu Tian hard across the face and angrily yelled, You humiliated me again. Don't blame me for not being polite. Despite his anger, Wu Tian held back, taking off his bracelet to show it to her face. If you lay a hand on me again, don't blame me for being rude, he warned. Chang Miss Lady felt uneasy as the tension in the air grew. She wiped the sweat from her palms and asked, Is there something you two want to say? I have nothing to say to her, Wu Tian replied firmly. Zai Sai clenched her fists, her frustration evident. Wu Tian turned away, pulling his bike along, and gestured for Cheng Tiu Thu to follow. As he passed Zai Sai his expression remained cold, a faint bruise still visible on his face from earlier. Stubborn as ever, Zai Sai stepped in front of them once more and asked, Can you forgive me? Wu Tian, still upset, responded sharply, You're being unreasonable. Why do you keep pushing this? Zai Sai noticed the bruise on Wu Tian's right cheek, but not on the left. In a defiant act, she lightly tapped the other side of his face and muttered, Now it's balanced. Seeing Wu Tian being treated this way, Cheng Kik-sin immediately stepped in. What gives you the right to treat him like this? Who do you think you are? She demanded. Wu Tian placed a reassuring hand on Cheng Kik-sin's shoulder, calming her down. Then, with a smirk, he said, I told you, if she keeps this up, I won't just stand by and take it. As he spoke, he subtly used his abilities, and suddenly Zai Sai felt her legs weaken beneath her, causing her to stumble. Surprised, she looked at Wu Tian and asked, What did you just do? Wu Tian smiled faintly. You assumed that just because you were from the Zai family, I'd always let things slide. Zai Sai now uneasy, felt a hint of nervousness creeping in. What are you planning? She asked warily. Instead of responding directly, Wu Tian simply walked past her, leaving her to process the moment. He embarrassed her so much that her face turned red. Then, without a second thought, he tossed Zai Sai into a trash bin marked hazardous waste. After finishing, he coldly brushed his hands and turned away. Cheng Kik-sin was left speechless by what she saw. Furious, Zai Sai sat in the trash bin and yelled at Wu Tian, Hey, you better let me out right now. Miss Cheng nervously looked at Wu Tian, and he turned to Zai Sai giving her a polite smile and a heart gesture. Seeing this, Zai Sai completely lost it and shouted, You Yi. The two of them continued their journey, walking with their bikes. As Wu Tian turned back to Cheng Kik-sin, he asked her, Why are you looking at me like that? Do you think I went too far? Unexpectedly, Miss Cheng gave him a thumbs up and complimented him. Well done. That's how you should treat women. Be tough. Wait, what does she mean by that? Is she saying I should be tough with women? What about men? Wu Tian thought to himself, looking confused. Cheng Kik-sin asked again, Aren't you going to do anything about her? Wu Tian smiled and answered, Don't worry, she won't die. Worst case, she'll just get knocked out by the stench. Hearing this, Cheng Kik-sin chuckled and said, You're so mean. But come on, she's still a beautiful woman. Is she really that beautiful? Why don't I see it? Isn't she even less attractive than you? Wu Tian tilted his head absentmindedly, thinking about Zai Sai Qi. Hearing these words, Qi Xin felt secretly pleased, unable to hide her happiness, and smiled faintly. At the Zai family home, Zai Sai Qi had just finished her shower. She wrapped a towel around herself and stepped out. Still fuming with anger, she was drying her hair as she spoke to her grandfather. I want to kill him. I have to kill him. Sitting on the bed, her grandfather defended Wu Tian, laughing. Ha ha, that kid has some depth. Grandfather, I'm your granddaughter, she said, feeling it was unfair. Her grandfather smiled and replied, My dear granddaughter, the way you're handling this isn't right. I need to talk to you about this. His expression grew serious as he advised, he has helped our Zai family. Have you noticed anything about him? Notice what? I just know he's completely perverted. Zai Sai Qi turned away, pouting as she spoke. Her father then chimed in, Why did you suddenly become paralyzed all over? Shouldn't you be thinking deeply about this issue? After being enlightened, Zai Sai Qi understood. She said, There's also one more thing. The injury on my hand doesn't seem to be that serious after all. Zai Sai Qi's father explained, Now you see why I didn't let you deal with him. If we could cooperate with him and get those medicines for treating wounds to the battlefield. Her grandfather added, These past few days, I didn't want you to confront him too many times. Another day, I'll go see him myself. For 3 days straight, Wu Tian had been incredibly busy buying all kinds of herbs and processing them. It wasn't until the afternoon of the third day that he finally finished his work. While he was busy, Chen Qixin wasn't exactly relaxing either. Wu Tian waved his finger and bought back a bunch of things, with the most he bought being bottled water. 3 days ago, Chen Qixin had asked him more than once what exactly he was planning to do, but every time he just responded with some cryptic line about it being a secret. Chen Qixin was watching TV, her face full of smiles. Wu Tian glanced at the clock, saw it was the right time, and then handed her a pill. He told her, Open your mouth and take it. Curious, Chen Qixin asked, What is this? Wu Tian simply replied, Poison. She took a good look at the pill in his hand before swallowing it. Wu Tian, with a worried expression, asked her, Aren't you afraid it's really poison? Chen Qixin chewed slowly and replied, If it kills me, what do you get out of it? Sweating nervously, Wu Tian asked, So you're scared it might be. Are you trying to take advantage of me? Chen Qixin shot back. Wu Tian stared at her chest, then his gaze shifted to her thighs and answered with a confident grin. Of course, with someone as beautiful as you, what man wouldn't think about it? Chen Qixin blushed, feeling embarrassed, and turned her face away. Wu Tian laughed proudly and said, Just wait a little while. Your body might feel a bit off. It's completely normal, nothing to worry about. I'm the one who's dirty, actually. I've already taken a shower. I smell great. If you don't believe me, go ahead and sniff. As he spoke, Chen Qixin pointed at Wu Tian's chest. Wu Tian didn't hesitate to move closer and sniff, causing Miss Cheng to blush and scold, You pervert. Are you really doing this? As she scolded, she stepped back and hugged her delicate body. Wu Tian calmly replied, You're the one who asked me to smell. In the bathroom, there was a large wooden tub filled with water. Wu Tian poured several bottles of medicine into it. Seeing this, Chen Qixin asked, Why are you doing that? What does it do? Wu Tian answered seriously, Wait a moment. Some impurities will start to come out of your body. You usually use tap water to bathe, but after you wash it off, you need to soak in this tub for half an hour. Still confused, Miss Cheng asked why again. Wu Tian responded, Don't worry about it for now. You'll understand when the time comes. Think of it as a gift from me to thank you for taking care of me. At that moment, Chen Qixin noticed strange green marks appearing on her skin. She screamed, Why is my hand so dirty? As expected, Wu Tian remained calm, thinking to himself, It's happening. Those marks. Looks like my power is still there, but the herbs are a little weaker than I expected. It's taking longer than I thought. I'll have to grow my own herbs next time. Without careful attention, the medicine is always lacking. Quick, get ready to bathe. Remember, don't use any body wash. Also, bring a few bottles of spring water with you. Drink plenty of water, Wu Tian said as he opened the door and gave his instructions. Chen Qixin took off all of her clothes and started to shower. Wu Tian stood outside, laughing and saying, Take your time, no need to rush. I won't barge into the bathroom. Don't bother me. How could I be this dirty? Chen Qixin called out from the bathroom. Wu Tian responded, Don't worry, Your Majesty. All of that is just toxins being flushed out of your body. It's good for you. While showering, Chen Qixin yelled back, Well, what's going on? Wu Tian put on a mischievous expression, pressed his body against the bathroom door and said, I'm not sure. How about you let me in to take a look? Don't even think about it, Chen Qixin shouted angrily. One of these days are not so easy to trick, Wu Tian said with a disappointed sigh as he sat down on the sofa. He sat like a domineering CEO, one leg crossed over the other, hands resting behind him. Wu Tian stared at the bathroom door, where he could see Chang Keek-sin's silhouette. Her curves were so enticing that he almost couldn't help himself. He stared, lost in thought. Man, this doesn't seem right. If I keep going like this, oh no, I'm going to fall for your fiancé. What do I do now? Don't blame me later for being ruthless. After stopping the bleeding from his nose, Wu Tian's expression became serious, and he muttered to himself, but she's no longer your fiancé. If I'm with her, you wouldn't mind, right? What's convenient for others is never as good as what's convenient for oneself. Time passed, and the clock kept ticking, but Chang Keek-sin still hadn't finished her shower. Wu Tian started to wonder, it's been 40 minutes, why is she still not done? As soon as he thought that, Chang Keek-sin suddenly screamed. Hearing her frantic shout, Wu Tian rushed to the bathroom, slammed the door open, and shouted, "What happened? What's going on?" But when he looked, he saw Keek-sin, looking as beautiful as ever, clearly flustered. Once again, blood rushed to Wu Tian's nose more than before, so much so that it splattered the tissue out of his hand. Wu Tian stood there, watching Keek-sin happily admire herself. She was showering herself with praise, saying, "How is this possible? My skin, it's changing. It's so smooth and white, like a baby's." He gave her a thumbs up, smiling as he said, "Your Majesty, you were already beautiful, but now you look even better, truly as beautiful as a fairy." At that moment, he thought to himself, this is the first time I've really put my effort into this, and I didn't expect such amazing results. To make a beautiful woman even more stunning like this, Keek-sin, still glowing with happiness, cupped her face in her hands and shyly asked, "Do I really look that beautiful?" Wu Tian nodded. After a moment of thought, Keek-sin leaned in to kiss his cheek. The unexpected gesture left him frozen. When she pulled away, she simply said, "Thank you." He calmed down, took the paper, and shoved it back into his nose, saying, No, that doesn't count. I wasn't ready yet. Let's do it again, but this time make it a bit deeper." Not long after, he pouted and walked toward her, saying, "Come on, reward me again." Keek-sin stopped him, saying, "No way." Then she walked over to the door and added, "Come with me outside. I'll treat you to a nice meal as a reward, okay?" They quickly left the dorm, but as soon as they stepped out of the elevator, Yang Hao was already waiting for them downstairs. He called out, "Little sister," with a serious look on his face, but when he saw her, he was clearly surprised. He then spoke with a tone of admiration, "Little sister, you've really changed." Yang Hao thought, how did Chang Keek-sin get so much more beautiful? She's so soft and delicate, like a drop of water. Keek-sin asked, "Senior, did you need something?" Yang Hao replied, "Tomorrow was my grandfather's birthday. Are you free?" The next day, at the Ouyang estate, Wu Tian rode her there on his bike. When they arrived, he walked alongside her, holding the bike. Keek-sin looked back and said, "Are you sure you're not coming in? I can tell them you're my friend." Wu Tian responded, "Don't make a scene. I'd love to go in, but Yang Hao would probably kill me first." Then he said, "Don't be afraid, we prepared the most premium offering. It's a small wooden box, and inside it holds something that's still unclear. We know it's a type of medicinal herb." At that moment, she hesitated, but he reassured her, "Don't worry, just go in. I'll be here waiting for you." Inside, there were many guests. Yang Hao turned to Keek-sin and asked, "Are you nervous?" He added, "I'm nervous too. Today is very important to me." Over in the distance, the Yi family was gathered, and young Master Yi and his father glanced over, noticing that Keek-sin was chatting so happily with Yang Hao. Young Master Yi widened his eyes in surprise and thought, has Chang Keek-sin really become this beautiful? He turned his face back, and Heng Kai said to him, "From now on, be a bit more polite to her. If there's nothing important, don't cause any conflicts." Jun Yunlai, Yi Heng Kai's wife, spoke up. She's really lucky to have young Master Aoyang like her. Heng Kai then asked, "What's going on with you and Sing Yu? Is there any progress?" Young Master Yi answered, sounding troubled, "Father, you don't believe me." Heng Kai could only sigh. Just then, the MC's loud voice cut through the room, making all the guests turn toward the stage. "Ladies and gentlemen, I hereby announce that the party officially begins." At that moment, the head of the Ouyang family, Ouyang Man, was seated in a chair, having just been greeted by Yang Hao. He knelt down and said, "Grandfather, Xiao Hao wishes you happiness, like the East Sea, and longevity, like the South Mountain, living to be 100 years old." At that moment, his grandfather said, "Get up. I heard you brought your girlfriend. Where is she?" Immediately, Yang Hao stretched out his hand to introduce Keek-sin, saying, "Grandfather, this is Chang Keek-sin, my classmate from when I was studying in the US. Everyone around was surprised, wondering about this woman's background. They felt like they had seen her somewhere before. At that point, Ouyang Xiangwu, Ouyang Hao's younger brother, frowned and thought, I know her. What kind of woman is my brother bringing home? Chang Kixin then walked up to the head of the Ouyang family, bowed her head, and respectfully greeted, Mr. Ouyang, how are you? I'm Chang Kixin. I apologize for my rude behavior today, and I hope the Ouyang family can forgive me. I wish you health and happiness, like the East Sea, and may you live a long life. His grandfather asked, Xiao Chang, where are you from? Who are your parents? She answered, my father is Cheng Pai Dong, and my mother is Qi Kai Yun. My family is just an ordinary business family. Ouyang Nan smiled and said, thank you for joining my banquet today, but it is mine, he thought, an ordinary family. Perhaps not quite worthy of my grandson. At that moment, Ouyang Hao stepped forward and said, Grandfather Qi Xin has prepared a gift for you. She took out a small wooden box from her bag and said, Mr. Ouyang, this is a gift I prepared for your birthday. Please, you must accept it. It's something of great value for you in the future. Xian Wu walked over to Ouyang Nan and whispered in his ear, Grandpa, don't you want to open it and see what the gift is? I heard the woman my brother is pursuing was once engaged. Could it be an engagement contract? At that moment, Ouyang Nan spoke up asking, Miss Chang, were you once engaged? The atmosphere immediately grew tense. Ouyang Hao quickly interjected, Grandpa, that's a misunderstanding. But Ouyang Nan responded, I wasn't asking you. Kixin then replied, yes, I was once engaged. Mr. Ouyang, I know what you're thinking, but please don't worry. Today, I'm just here to wish the elders a happy birthday, nothing more. Many eyes were on her as she said that. Sang Wu then asked, Miss Cheng, could you open the gift and show us? She touched the box of lid and opened it. Inside was a single pill. Everyone immediately thought the same thing. It's someone else's birthday, and she gave a pill as a gift. People began wondering if she meant to curse the recipient. At that moment, Ouyang Nan's expression grew serious. Kixin explained that the pill had a very special purpose. It could save a life at a critical moment. She looked at the pill and thought to herself, this gift was something Wu Tian had put a lot of effort into preparing. Ouyang Nan replied, thank you for your kind offer, but I don't need these things for now. I appreciate your goodwill, Miss Chang. At that moment, Kixin suddenly realized that she had been rejected. Ouyang Nan had turned down the gift for Cheng Kixin. This was undoubtedly a slap in the face. Ouyang Zhang, the father of Ouyang Hao, and spoke up, Xiao Hao, take Miss Chang downstairs to rest. Kixin immediately put the gift back into her bag and said, Mr. Ouyang, I'm really sorry for being so rude and disturbing you today. After that, Ouyang Hao led Kixin out. Ouyang Zhang, now visibly angry, pointed at Ouyang Hao and shouted, what do you think you're doing? What do you actually want? I always thought you were a sensible person, but today you've really disappointed me. Ouyang Hao retorted, Dad, I'm serious about Kixin. I want to marry her. Ouyang Zhang yelled, dream on, I'm telling you, never, not in a million years. You better get rid of that idea right now. He added, have you forgotten who you are? With your status and position, do you really think she's worthy of you? Besides, she's already engaged. Right now, all eyes are on her. Chang Kixin felt completely crushed. The strange looks from the crowd around her were enough to drive her to the edge of madness. This place isn't right for her either. No matter how hard she tries, she's still just a Cinderella, even worse. She's a girl who was once engaged. Suddenly, an old man called out, little girl. Kixin turned around and the old man smiled, saying, could I take a look at the box in your hand? She smiled back and said, old man, if you like it, go ahead and take it. Then Kixin handed him the box. He was surprised. Really? She answered, I'm not being dishonest. The old man laughed and said, oh, well then, thank you in advance. A servant behind him handed him a card. He gave it to her and said, I can't just take this without giving you something in return. Little girl, if you ever need anything, feel free to look me up. Consider this as me owing you a favor today. Kixin took the card and looked at it as the old man walked away. He called back, sorry, but I can't keep talking right now. She watched him leave, but then he stopped, as if remembering something. The old man turned back, smiled, and said, little girl, could you wait for me just a bit longer? I have something I want to tell you later. The sound of high heels clicking approached, and she said, Miss Cheng, I owe you an apology for what happened earlier. It was Xing Yu. She smiled and added, I'm here to apologize on behalf of my grandfather. Xing Yu extended her hand, offering a handshake, but Kixin froze. Xing Yu then introduced herself. I'm Ouyang Xing Yu, and I truly apologize for what happened earlier. Keeksin shook her hand and said, "It's a pleasure to meet you." Sing Yu continued, "Miss Chang, may I ask you a rather bold question? The pill you gave earlier, what exactly is it? Does it really work?" Keeksin replied, that pill was made by a friend of mine. Its effects are said to be able to bring people back from the brink of death and save lives." Sing Yu was shocked and asked, "It can really bring someone back to life?" Keeksin answered, "I can't guarantee that, but my friend said it can at least keep someone alive for another year." At that moment, Sing Yu thought that was already crazy enough. A pill that looked so ordinary, could it really have such powerful effects? Seeing Sing Yu remain silent, Keeksin added, "Miss Aoyang, don't take my words too seriously. Just consider it as me rambling or joking. You could laugh it off."